Hello and good day to all my friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti speaking. I'm from Thales. Today is October 27th, 2025. I'll analyze Bitcoin with the Thales Market Screener. These analyses are for educational and informational purposes only. If you use this information to trade, any profits or losses are your responsibility. The upward move we expected happened. It went almost exactly where we thought it would, maybe a little higher. With this bullish move, the price reclaimed the ceiling around 114,000. In the next step, it also more or less, as they say, scratched the 116,000 ceiling. You can see this shadow reclaimed the 116,000 ceiling as well. Right now, we're in a logical correction phase. It looks like the price wants to form a flag here. If a flag forms here, the correction might even go lower, maybe down to 113, so it can gather some momentum. For a full-on attack and a complete break of 116 and moving past this number, it would clearly show bullish conditions. We went into the overbought zone and then came back. Right now, it's basically a pullback to the moving average, and this could still be a continued upward move. You can see that Ethereum's situation is the same. It's reclaimed highs like 4,100. And even here, look, it reclaimed this shadow high at 4,200 with this wick. Again, there's a flag forming here, and there's a chance for an upward move. We also had some heaviness in Ethereum. Look here. Let me draw it for you here. See, does this trend make sense now? Let me delete this one. We can use this trend line. We can also draw it like this, which seems more accurate, because we have more precise points of contact. So, in this way, you can see here that it was broken. With this trend line, we made a very significant and powerful move upward. All right. Let's go to the market screener and continue the story there to see what we have. I'll reset the filters. From the beginning of today until now, for the expiration date. Tomorrow, the 28th, in the raw database, and we refresh it. For October 28th, let me check again. Since the beginning of today until now, 5,611 bitcoins. Look, tomorrow is Tuesday, and it's basically the start of the week, so the trading volume is really high. 5,611 bitcoins for tomorrow, in the form of 1,834 option contracts, and the result is completely bullish. Look. Right now, this is where we are, about 115,000. If the price keeps moving down, you'll see delta increase until it hits 110, down to 110, 111. They've covered this whole area. So if we want to go lower from right here, puts have been sold. If we want to go lower from here, puts have been sold down to 110, up to here, up to this point, and keep in mind, even if we come down to here, to the lower zone, if we drop to around 110, we're still moving within this upward trend. So, everything is going just right and smoothly. Take a look. Let's draw a trend, a channel here. You'll see that the bottom of this upward channel actually lines up with it. 111, 110. So even if we drop down, nothing has really happened. We're still within this upward trend. We're moving along, and it's possible that this could happen. We just have to see how much excitement is behind the price. On Wednesday, the Fed news will come out, and Mr. Powell will give his speech. We'll have to see what the perspectives are and how the market reacts, but from here down, the bottom has already been established. And ahead of us, above 115, there's a pause zone up to 118. There's a delta of resistance up to 118. Actually, calls have been bought, there's a pause, and then from 119, calls have been bought again up to 124 to 125. So, we have a pause at 118. If we break through here, we'll go up to around 118 to 119, and there's another pause here. Right where the end of our arrow is, and then it plays out. The price will probably attack towards 124 and 125. If we move the slider forward, you'll see as well. The outlook is still bullish. A slight downward leg comes up, another slight downward leg comes up, and it continues. If we go further, you'll see that the contracts that have come in during the last hour have become volatile here. It's become volatility that's at the bottom here. What's interesting is that this volatility we're looking at right now, the bottom is right where we are now, 115. Where's the top? 121. All of this is giving us a positive signal. It's giving a bullish signal. Here again, it turns bullish. Again, the trades from the last hour. You see, it becomes strongly bullish again and could target up to 118. Let's go. In the processed database, this one is also almost processed and it's showing us the same pattern. Let's move forward. Look, here again, just like in the last hour, the curve has turned into a put-sale pattern. That means right where we are now is the bottom, meaning we really don't want to go much lower than this range. Ahead, we also have a delta increase, up to 117. There's a delta increase, along with a price increase, and after that, the delta decreases, meaning around 117 to 118 in the coming days. That could be our price ceiling, probably until the end of October, meaning probably until Friday, October 31st. We might play around here a bit and head toward the 117 and 118 ceiling. Here, our final target is until October 31st. So, what's the situation? It's bullish. Let's go ahead and draw the zones and indicators. Okay, you can see the intersection of the buyer and seller charts. At the top, 116,800 is our agreed level, which is in loss, and at the bottom, 112 is our agreed level, which is also in loss but much less. It's very close to the break-even zone. The situation seems a bit volatile. Just like I mentioned to you before, we might fluctuate around these areas until tomorrow. Let's put these into the indicator and continue. As you can see, the indicator bands compared to yesterday, where this point was and this point was, still show strong, powerful momentum. It's bullish. Our support has come here, at 112. We can even allow a correction down to this 112 level. It won't cause any issues, and we can continue. Ultimately, the move upward is clear, especially considering the positive news that came in recent days, not just the possibility, but it was actually announced. Apparently, an agreement has been reached between China and the US regarding tariffs and trade issues from the interest rate side. Naturally, there's an expectation of a decrease on Wednesday and possibly positive news in Mr. Powell's speech on Wednesday. All of this can prepare the market for a strong upward move. Alright, let's go ahead and draw and update the zones and come back. Well, you can see the updated zones, and naturally, just like our bands, they've moved upward. The upper zone is wider than the lower zone. Both zones are also zones of disagreement. This is the choppy situation I mentioned to you, and the upper zone has pretty much been touched by this shadow, if we want to be precise. Of course, there's still room up to 116 to 117,000. The price could move up to fully cover the upper zone. Right now, the price is actually at Where is it? Right now, at 115,000, we're at the maximum loss for buyers and the maximum profit for sellers. 114. Its lower boundary is here, and the price could probably move in this direction. Alright, that's the situation with the zones. Let's move on and take a look at delta and gamma. Delta and gamma are really quite complicated. Right now, we're here, and as the price goes up, we're expecting an increase in delta today. As you can see, we have a gamma at 116,200 and 116,300. We have a long gamma, which is basically a call buy, and we also have another long gamma here at 121,300, which is another part of the call buys that has created a bigger upward move here. And then, the gamma we have here is a short gamma for the 113 ticker, and for the maker, look, the hope here is generally significant. The well-known and important 113. A price can come back here and find support. See, it also has a support role here. These are the 113s. This gamma actually comes from selling puts. In other words, the ticker here has sold puts, has seen the bottom, the price floor, and on the other side. Actually, if it's a potential market maker, they've bought puts, and their delta is negative, so if the price reaches here, to hedge that negative delta in the underlying asset, the market maker starts buying, so this will have a supportive role. So, anywhere from 112,500 to 113 could be a spot where we see a bounce. Alright, I won't really draw out the other scenarios. Let's just stick to this main one, since it's stronger than the others, and okay. Let's move on to the other expirations. Should we take a look at the other expirations? I'll remove the gamma here, and I'll remove the delta too. This will make it simpler. If I add the expiration for the 29th, the chart becomes more volatile, meaning we're expecting an upward move. Apparently, for the 29th, we're reaching a ceiling, we're getting close to the top. That's our ceiling. Of course, right now we're at 115, and 300, and here there's a breakout, kind of like what happened at 116. There's also a breakout here, and then it gets really volatile. So, look, these are the numbers. 116 is a number we might reach by tomorrow. We might see it again here. That's just the shadow, this shadow. It reached 116 and 517. The 29th expiration, shown here. For the 876 Bitcoin with the 29th expiration, that's Wednesday, where's its ceiling on its own? 117,500. Right now, we're at the peak of its profit, considering the bullish momentum we have here in the technicals. It seems more reasonable to move toward the top of this curve, meaning we should aim for 117 to 118. For the 30th expiration, it's 461. Bitcoin on Thursday has low volume for now, but you can see movement has been observed in both directions. Naturally, here too, moving upward is a more accessible and reasonable move for us. Given the bullish situation we have in the technicals, it sees above 118 and 500 in the uptrend, and finally, Civicom trades that entered today are extremely bullish. The curve is completely upward. Right now, we're exactly at the point where it's entering profit. The plan is for 12,926 Bitcoin. Today's trade has just been entered, and you can see it's completely bullish. Let me turn on the delta as well. Look, right now we're in the middle of this uptrend. We're here. If it wants to go to the peak, if delta wants to go to the peak, it will be 126. But if we consider the move up to the delta's ascending zone, roughly up to this point where I've paused now, after which delta starts to bend, it becomes curved. Around 118 is possible. Our target by Friday is a number that we can reach with these figures, so let's see. Let's also check the November week. November week is also bullish. November week is also bullish. Look, we're at a bottom right now, which has been observed. This is where we are. What I mean is, for the November week, even 115, look here, even 119, puts have been sold below 118 as well. So from here, with every drop in price, we get an increase in delta. Calls have been bought from 119. Calls have been bought from 119 for the November week, and we're seeing a bullish move. With the price increase, it goes up to 140, and in between, 130. So if I turn on the gamma, look, the gamma for this purchase is at 128. The calls that have been activated here are at 128. If we want to get to a more precise number, you can see here that the delta has intersected with the red curve. Here, they're all aligned. 124 is the starting point of the delta's upward growth phase. We can roughly say from here, you can focus on 120. In my opinion, for anything above 120, we can probably count on it for the week of November. Around here, for example, for the week of November, we can probably rely on it. Of course, if news comes out on Wednesday and the market gets excited, this path might. We might reach these numbers earlier, but roughly, we can expect to hit these figures for the week of November. Alright, let's get back to our own filter for tomorrow's expiration. Turn off gamma, focus on delta. Trades, 5,611 Bitcoin, 2,839 bought. 1,515 Kaylee, 1,324 others. The difference between calls and puts isn't much, about 200 Bitcoin. Our call purchases are 200 Bitcoin higher, targeting strike prices of 116 and above, up to 600. So, our call purchases haven't been fully realized yet. Are we getting really close? We've gone up to 116,300 here, but with this pattern, we might even push for another high. Let's aim for 117, and based on the current hourly time frame we're in, I think we have about 20 hours to go. If we want to go for it, that is. Really, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles from this candle, Basically, the contracts have entered, the 0 hour for our contract entries, and you can see this upward move. So this rise means that most of the call purchases above 116,300 have been realized. We can say it went up to 116,400, so most of it has been realized. Now it's time for confirmation. Actually, the put buyers, where are the put buyers? They didn't see it much lower. Interestingly, look, the floor was seen at 114. From 113 to 114, the floor was seen. Up to 114 and above. This candle came down to 114,400, meaning they brought the floor up a lot. This means you know that even the put buyers are actually hopeful for an upward move, so they really don't want the price to drop much lower. Now, it's probably time for the put sellers' buyers to be realized. 2,772 puts sold, 1,395 calls sold, and 1,376 calls sold. The put sales are very close to each other, very close. It seems like there's a gap of about 20 Bitcoin between the call buyers at the top and the call sellers at the top. They saw 116 and 200, which we also saw, so the ceiling was reached. Now, let's look at the put sales. The put sales saw the floor at 113, just as I mentioned to you, a floor between 113 and 114, 113 exactly. It's important, and as you saw in the Thales group on Telegram, an analysis discussion was posted regarding the profit target for short-term Bitcoin holders, which is at 113, and it's a very important number. This level has been broken, and we might see a pullback to it. So, this 113 to 114 range could be our pullback target, and it seems like now is its turn. This correction we're seeing is in that same direction. So that's the detail on the trades, and now let's move on to processed database, and high-volume trades. We've got a few of them. 50 Bitcoin. Let's set that as open interest. I'll also set it so these get filtered out. Just make sure you're only taking the positive open interest. See how the rate of increase, the curve, is changing. It's become completely bullish. Okay, let's check for 10 Bitcoin and above. For 20 Bitcoin, there are still a lot of contracts. 25 Bitcoin is still a lot. 30 Bitcoin, there are 12 contracts. We've got a 500 Bitcoin contract. That's really heavy. The long call is 120 for tomorrow. See, this has become very bullish, extremely bullish. There's a long call at 120, actually for 120,000, for tomorrow, 500 Bitcoin. Here too, there are 250 Bitcoin contracts, 250 Bitcoin long calls, again at 116,000 and above. Again, look here, 250 Bitcoin short calls at 116. This is the ceiling that's been seen for tomorrow. This one seems more reasonable. Maybe this is where we are right now. So far, do you see if this prediction was correct? I mean, did we hit a ceiling here? We'll probably play around a bit here. Okay, let me reset the filter. We're set at 25. Our 25s are a lot. Here, we can find some strategies. For example, we have this one. This one's neutral, right? It took a long strangle and a long straddle. Does it still suggest movement in both directions? This one is the same, but it can move both ways. It took 114 and 300 for the lower side again. Hasn't gone much lower, and for the upper side, it's 117 and 700. Here again, we have this one, this single one. Actually, it's a short strangle. This one has taken a much wider range. 111 is the lower bound of the range, 118 is the upper bound, and again, this one has set the upper bound at 118, meaning for tomorrow, it's seeing the upside up to 118. Again, we have this one, in the same way, just like this. And all of these are seeing volatility for tomorrow. This one too. Also. Look, these all together are actually considering 350 Bitcoin as a short strangle. It's been set from about 112 to 119 as the lower and upper bounds. So, just like I mentioned before, even if we come down to 112, to this lower bound that we have here now, that's the lower zone floor for us. This is a completely smooth uptrend, nothing will disrupt it, but on our way down, we have 114 as well. We also have 113, which are important points, and we can actually pause at them. And not go any lower than that. Alright, that's it for the strategies. Let's move on. Let's check out the 24-hour liquidation. You can see that right now, Our liquidity on the downside is much higher and it's sticking close to the price, so we could head towards it. 114 here, and you can see 113, and at the top, at 116 and 500, liquidity has accumulated, but the lower liquidity is currently closer to the price. Let's move on to the 48-hour chart. Yes, it's clear on the 48-hour chart. At 112,500, lots of liquidity here. Lower liquidity is closer to price than upper side. Focus on 116,500. That's liquidity that could be taken out. So overall, we come to the conclusion that this curve of mine, we hold on to it. We've pretty much seen the top. Now we're heading down toward the lower side, around 113. It's an interesting level where we can expect to reach. We can expect the price to get there, but we could even drop down to 112 and then probably continue breaking this high and move toward all the levels we've set, around 118 up to 118,500. This could be the scenario we should watch for in the coming days, tomorrow and the days ahead. Thank you for your attention. I hope that